Okay, so we're checking out Andrew Johnson National Historic Site. It is February 26, 2021, 1:16 p.m. And I'm always the first one to kick myself in the butt when I realize I did something pretty dumb. And this is one of them, okay? I noticed the signage earlier when I was over here at the sheriff's department in the jail. And right across the street is the replica birthplace. Well, I didn't realize that right across the street was where he worked in the homestead. So that was a dumb one on me. So you got two different videos. Could have had it in just one, but it's alright. I'm only human. Can't say I never make mistakes. Try not to. This wasn't really a mistake. It was just inconvenience. An early home. Andrew Johnson and his family lived in this two-story brick house sometime in the 1830s until 1851. During those years, Johnson's life changed drastically as he ventured from the tailoring trade into politics. After being elected alderman of Greeneville, he became mayor. From then on, his rise was steady. To state representative, state senator, and United States representative. In 1853, he was elected governor of Tennessee and was sent to the United States Senate in 1857. How you doing? It's raining.
Better that than snow.
Yeah, not as cold, that's for sure. Snow looks better though. The cellar in the early home may have been used as a kitchen. Note how the house was built over a limestone outcrop and the fireplace in the southeast wall. For visitor safety, the cellar remains closed. Alright, so that's the old cellar fireplace. Let's go in here, check out in here, and then they have another building across the street, so we'll go check that out. We got to enter over here. The Johnson family tree. And then it says, flip through the pages of this picture album to learn more about the members of the Johnson family. Looks like somebody done swiped the picture. Actually, it's just one thing, but there's nothing there. And then we got William Johnson was the son of Dolly, one of Andrew Johnson's slaves, born in Johnson's Greeneville home. He and his mother stayed there in the president's home even after they were freed in 1937. There's a lot to read here, so not unless y'all comment that you want me to read here. I'm gonna start from the top. Not unless you want me to read these out to you. I'll do that from now on, but I want you to go ahead and comment and let me know what you think. This is his apprenticeship. The practice of apprenticeship was brought to the United States by the first colonialists. Faced with the need for their children to have a trade in elementary education, poor families turned to apprenticeship system. They modified it to require employers to provide apprenticeship with a basic education. Apprentices usually served 7-year terms during which their masters were supposed to prepare them for a trade, teach them to read and write, and feed and house them. In return, they owned their master's complete obedience. If they ran away, no other local employer could hire them. If captured, they were generally required to serve double their 7-year term. Typically 19th century tailoring scene. Note the apprentices sitting cross-legged as they sew. That's going to be them. There's a fireplace. On the run. There's a lot here. Got a $10 reward. Ran away from the subscriber on the night of the 15th instant. 2 apprentice boys legally bound named William and Andrew Johnson. The former is of a dark complexion, black hair, eyes, and habits. They are much of a height, about 5 feet 4 or 5 inches. The latter is fairly fleshy, freckled face, light hair, and fair complexion. They went off with 2 other apprentices advised by Messer W.M. and Chase Fowler. When they went away, they were well clad, blue cloth coats, light colored homespun coats, and new hats. The maker's names in the crown of the hats is Theodore Clark. I will pay the above reward to any person who will deliver said apprentices to me in Riley, or I will give the above a reward for Andrew Johnson alone. All persons are cautioned against harboring or employing said apprentices on pain of being prosecuted. James J. Shelby, it's the tailor from Raleigh, North Carolina, June 24th, 1824. For $10, you ain't going to get nothing these days. That was good money back then. Early Greeneville years. If you want to pause that and watch it. State of Tennessee. Known all men be these presents. Eliza Johnson read to her husband while he worked. Okay, so that's Andrew and Eliza Johnson's marriage certificate. It's well built. It's all still here. This is like granite or some kind of a coating over something. I'll let you kind of see that. Go through by the years. The events in the life of Andrew Johnson. (1869) May 10th. Great event, railroad from the Atlantic to the Pacific, grand opening of the Union Pacific Railroad. Gold, silver, and other miners. Now is the time to seek your fortune in Nebraska, Wyoming, Arizona, Washington, Dakota, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, Montana, New Mexico, Idaho, Nevada, and California. And then we got national events. Sorry if there's any reflection. I'm trying to hold the Liberty Bell. The first telegraphic instrument, 1844. The Remington Armory, sewing machine work. Gas lights in 1848 are installed in the White House. I might have to purchase a light for my camera so that I get rid of the glare. And it starts over here. These are the events in life of Andrew Johnson from 1860 to 1875. In 1869, Johnson is defeated for the United States Senate. 1860, the population of the United States is 31,443,321. 4 million are slaves. Next time y'all are in Greeneville, if you live in Greeneville, come on out and bring your kids out here and let them check it out. My kids are just not getting old enough to the age where the youngest one can actually understand what's going on. That's the railway. (1868) Tabasco sauce is formulated on Avery Island, Louisiana. 1868, the game of badminton was devised. Biltmore Pearl Hominy Company. Bank failures throughout the county result in economic depression, 1873. This is a new duplex telephone. Now they don't even have things with wires anymore. Got a picture of the Queen of the West. I've been on one paddle wheel boat. Wasn't like that with the paddle wheel in the middle, it had it in the back. It was pretty cool. Women's Right Convention. There's a drawing of Johnson's house. Burnside Bridge. The shortest and quickest route, mountains in the east. Union Pacific Railroad. How y'all doing today?
Good, how you doing?
It's drier in here.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of cool stuff to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about the Republican plan for reconstruction. So,
This is the African American homesteaders.
Furnace.
Nebraska Gothic. Farms and homes in Kansas. This was the auction house. His road to presidency.
They lived here and had 4 children in this house. I mean, I don't know if it is, did that upstairs?
Yeah, they're upstairs.
Voice for the working class. It's way before OSHA. Blacksmith at work. The homesteader loading sod for a sod house. But they had sod way back then. They cared about the way their yards looked. Constitutionalist. Johnson considered the U.S. Constitution a sacred blueprint for government in America. He strongly, some would say stubbornly, believed in it and felt it his duty to honor and uphold his provisions. Johnson consistently opposed legislation designed to expand the federal government's role in state government's affairs, whether it was a question of voting qualifications, slaveholding, or federal assistance for roads and harbors. He believed these and many other enterprises and decisions belonged to state hands in accordance with a constitution that reserved to the state's jurisdiction over all matters not specifically delegated to federal government. Johnson's stance, defense of states' rights and limited federal government, suited his Southern constituents and won their approval. Yet Johnson also believed that secession from the Union was unwise as well as unconstitutional. He thought the Southern interests included that of slavery were far safer in the Union and under the Constitution than they were outside them. The South disagreed, and Johnson's pro-Union stance brought him into conflict with his own Democratic Party and his Southern constituents, particularly as Southern states began to withdraw from the Union. This is Thomas Nast cartoon depicting Johnson in the Constitution. You've got to believe in the Constitution and you have to stand up for it. Every time I come out here, I'm expressing my rights. Johnson consistently opposed high tariffs, convinced they helped big businesses but made goods more expensive for their working classes. Johnson fought federal government intervention in economical matters such as road and canal building, even though they were popular enterprises in the mid-19th century. He not only saw these activities as unconstitutional expansion of federal powers, but as costly projects burdensome to the ordinary taxpayer and interference with the individual incentive. And it sounds like Hamlin County right now with the jail. Too much government intervention, he felt, would destroy the self-reliant spirit. Yeah, that's why people don't go to the meetings in Hamlin County, because there's no self-reliant spirit. In the Tennessee State Assembly, the Tennessee's governor, and in the U.S. House of Representatives, Johnson emerged as a fighter for economy and government. On the federal level, he attempted to reduce the number of clerks in government departments, opposed reimbursement to government employees for travel costs, and wanted to lower federal salaries. That's just a door that kind of goes up the stairs and into, I don't know, maybe there's a little, let's see how wide this wall is, because this wasn't raised up over here. So, oh, you walk in up the stairs, one door, and you walk down the stairs, out the door. Okay. It's actually the same door, I believe. Political landscapes. The Democrats. The Democratic Party formed in the late 1820s around Andrew Jackson. He believed in an American base on agriculture and the independent craftsmen and opposed the rise of cities, industrializations, and centralization of government. Although originally a national party by the 1850s, the Democratic Party arguments for strict adherence to the Constitution, state rights, and limited federal government merged into a single issue: the protection of the slavery. With this swift, the party became more regional, and its region was the slave-holding South. Then we'll go to the Republicans. The biggest threat to the Democrats, however, emerged as a result of their defense of slavery. As Americans moved westward, the question of allowing slavery into the new territories dominated all other political subjects. Northerners who wanted the West free of slaves and open only to whites opposed the expansion of slavery. In the mid-1850s, former wings included Abraham Lincoln, Northern Democrats, and remnants of the early anti-slavery parties combined to form the Republican Party. Both Democrats and Republicans saw each other as a threat to American progress and opportunity. By the late 1850s, these two positions were headed for a catastrophic confrontation. Hey, we have that right now in 2020. And years passed, and now in 2021. You know? So back in 1850s, they had the same problems, and nobody stood up then, and I guess nobody's standing up now. I mean, look, gas has gone up like 60 cents in a month and a half. That's ridiculous. The Whigs apparently appeared in the early 1830s as a reaction against President Andrew Jackson. They argued that finance and manufacturing were central to America's growth, and government intervention in the economy was necessary to develop the country's resources. Whigs such as Daniel Webster and Henry Clay supported government assistance for road and canal building and advocated high tariffs to protect emerging industries. By 1840, the Whigs were popular enough to elect war hero William Henry Harrison president. So there's a little bit on the major 19th century political parties. Oh, okay, so here, this is what I was talking about the wall. 19th century plastering. Early home restoration. So it starts off with the mesh. Well, let's read it. As part of its mission, the National Park Service employs and trains craftspeople in traditional methods of construction and preservation. The restoration of the interior of this early home provides an example of that training. Recreation of the walls required knowledge of the types of materials and construction methods used in the early 19th century, including plastering, marbleizing, painting, and carpentry. Though through careful study and analysis, even the paint colors and plaster composition have been matched to restore the walls to their original appearance. And here's some pictures of them working on it. While the technique of plastering has changed since the 19th century, the craftsmanship involved in the process has not. Today, metal wire is nailed to the wall, then plaster is applied. In the 1930s, strips of wood or coarse brick wall were used to create a bonding surface. A rough first coat of plaster, called the scratch coat, provided a bonding surface for the second leveling coat, called the brown coat. The brown coat contained horsehair to provide a natural bond for the finished coat, which was made of sand, lime, and soot. When worked with a trowel, small pieces of soot were broken up to create a marbleizing effect. And look, you can see that above the fireplace. I thought it was made out of like granite at first, but I was wrong. So this is the new way of doing it. I mean, they put the metal down, and then they put a skim coat like this, and then they go ahead and put another coat, and then you can see, you know, what they did with the soot to give it that marbleized look. Craftsmanship back in the days. I mean, I wouldn't mind my house having a look like this. That was the front door. Nice, big, and wide. And it's raining even harder out now. Bigger drops. Well, it's been a 30-minute video. I'm going to end this. Subscribe, share, thumbs up for Andrew Jackson. And I'm going to go outside, and that'll be part 2 in the other building.